I'm having visions.
Fearful tales of apparitions, demons, and goblins have been documented since ancient times and continue to fascinate people today. From a spooky 3,200-year-old tale written on broken pottery pieces to amateur YouTube videos of ghost chases. Although science does not support these paranormal events, they have persisted throughout history. Here are some of the most terrifying ghost stories that will haunt you for life. Number 1. 1200 BC Ghost Story from Egypt. An ancient Egyptian ghost story that was discovered on 4 pieces of pottery was translated and published in 1915 by Egyptologist Gaston Maspero. The story may have taken place in Luxor. In the tale, the ghost of a mummified man informs the Amun high priest of his current state. A ghost says, "I grew without ever seeing the sun's rays. I didn't breathe the air, but every day I faced the darkness, and no one came to look for me." The ghost seems to complain of some accident that has happened to himself. The ancient Egyptians had a strong belief in an afterlife and wrote a book of spells known as the Book of the Dead that they thought would help them reach the afterlife. Number 2. Ghost of Tu Po. Tu Po was an ancient Chinese ghost bent on vengeance. Tu Po was a minister to Chinese Emperor Tuan before his death. He lived between 827 to 783 BC. After a disagreement, Tuan executed Tu Po around 786 BC. Despite warnings that Tu Po would return to haunt him, Tu Po did much more than just haunt the emperor. Tuan was killed with an arrow fired by an apparition resembling Tu Po in front of an assembly of feudal lords 3 years later, wrote Chinese philosopher Mo Tzu, who lived between 470 to 391 BC. Number 3. Chained Man in Ancient Athens. Pliny the Younger, a Roman senator who died in the year 113 AD, related a chilling ghost story that has persisted to this day. There was a big, spacious house in Athens, but no one could live there due to its bad reputation. In the middle of the night, a noise resembling the clashing of iron was frequently heard, which, if you listened more closely, sounded like the rattling of chains. Disturbances that resulted in the appearance of a specter, form of an old man, of extremely emaciated and squalid appearance, with a long beard and disheveled hair, rattling the chains on his feet and hands. It goes without saying that the house was deserted and had to be rented out at a low rate. Athenodorus, a philosopher, is said to have rented the residence after learning of the legend and engaged the ghost directly. The ghost appeared, moving erratically, and then vanished. According to legend, Athenodorus calmly marked the location where the ghost disappeared and then gave the order to dig up the area the following morning. This was done accordingly, and a man-in-chains skeleton was discovered there. The body had been in the ground for a while and had become putrid and moldy, away from the chains. According to Pliny's story, the ghost left after receiving a proper burial and the house stopped being haunted. Number 4. Boarded Up Bathhouse. The ghost story from Plutarch, who wrote between 45 and 120 AD, has a much more depressing conclusion than the one from Athens. A young boy named Damon caught the eye of a Roman military commander in the Greek city of Chaeronea, who is said to have fallen in love with him, according to historical accounts. Damon turned down the commander's advances, which infuriated him. Knowing that he would be killed if he did nothing, Damon got a group of friends together, ambushed the Roman commander and several other Roman soldiers, killing them. The city council of Chaeronea condemned Damon and his friends to death. After that proclamation, Damon, who had not been killed, had the council members killed. Then, Damon and his companions went to the countryside and robbed it. The townspeople eventually permitted Damon to return, but he was killed shortly after in the neighborhood bathhouse. Number 5. The Tower of London. The numerous castles in the United Kingdom are hotspots for ghost stories. The 900-year-old Tower of London is said to be haunted, and the Queen's house is one of the most haunted, according to Tower officials. Arabella Stuart, King James I's cousin, is one of the ghosts in the Queen's house. Arabella made the mistake of marrying against the wishes of the king and was sentenced to the Tower as a result. According to the ghost story, she is still serving her time. Another eerie story claims that a phantom bear haunts the Martin Tower of the Tower of London. A guard who saw the phantom bear is said to have died of shock. For a time in its history, the Tower of London was used as a menagerie, housing a variety of animals, including bears. Number 6. Aokigahara Woods. Over the past 2 decades, dozens of suicide victims' bodies have been discovered at Aokigahara Woods in Japan, which is at the base of Mount Fuji. As a result, the forest has become a popular destination for troubled Japanese citizens to commit suicide. There are now signs in the forest asking people to seek help instead of taking their own lives. There are many ghost stories about the forest, including several alleged encounters with the apparitions of those who have died there. Number 7. Exorcism of Roland Doe. According to reports, a group of Roman Catholic priests performed an exorcism on a young boy from Cottage City, Maryland, in 1949 who went by the name Roland Doe. There are conflicting reports as to Roland's alleged powers. Some stories claim that Roland had supernatural strength, could speak in ancient languages that the boy had no knowledge of, and could apparently move or levitate the mattress he was lying on. Many of these claims have been disputed by investigators since 1949, who have presented data that suggests Roland was a psychologically troubled child who detested going to school and that his abilities were not supernatural. The incident sparked William Peter Blatty's The Exorcist novel in 1971, which in turn sparked the well-known 1973 film. And finally, number 8. Amityville. The Amityville haunting is arguably the most well-known American ghost story. For the murders of his mother, father, and 4 of their children in 1974 at their Amityville, New York home, Ronald DeFeo Jr. was found guilty. Investigators were baffled by the information that Ronald used the gun without a silencer and that there was no sign of a struggle inside the house. The Lutzes, a new family who had purchased the Amityville house at a reduced cost, moved in 1975. For less than a month, they were residing there. According to reports from the family, during that time, voices were heard throughout the house. Their daughter formed an imaginary friendship with a red-eyed pig named Jody. The house attracted swarms of flies. There was banging on the walls, and the furniture was rumored to move by itself. Ed and Lorraine Warren, who specialized in investigating paranormal activity, were hired to conduct the investigation. Ed Warren claimed that he was pushed to the basement floor by an unidentified force. Even though its most recent owners claim it's not haunted, the house is still standing today. The story is the inspiration for the 1977 novel The Amityville Horror and several films. So that's the end of the video. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and press the notification bell so you never miss out on our next videos. Until the next video, take care.